Welcome in, everybody. The Euros might be starting next week, but this week we still have some other international competitions going on, such as World Cup qualifiers, and let's look at some of the African World Cup qualifiers, and particularly a couple games taking place on Friday, one of which is Morocco and Zambia, and this is happening on June 7th at 3 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. Now, it's early in qualifying. It's just match day 3 out of 10, but these are two of the top teams in Group E qualifying. Morocco have only played one game. They're 1-0-0. They have a 2-0 win over Tanzania back in November. Meanwhile, Zambia are 1-0-1 after a 4-2 home win over Congo and a 2-1 away loss to Niger. Morocco, the Atlas Lions, are 13th in the FIFA rankings. Zambia, the Copper Bullets, are down in 86th. And the odds in this game definitely reflect those rankings, with Morocco being minus 225 to get the win, the draw plus 320, Zambia plus 700. Both teams to score, yes, plus 137. The no is favored at minus 188. Over plus 107, under minus 138. Head-to-head between these teams, they do have a very recent meeting, having just met up in the African Cup of Nations earlier this year, with Morocco winning 1-0. Now, that game saw Morocco have 58% of the possession. The edge in shots, 19-11. Shots on target, 7-2. Corners, 7-3. Hakim Ziyech's goal in the 37th minute was the only goal in that game. Now, other meetings between these teams were 3-1 Morocco in the 2021 CAF African Nations Championship, and a 3-2 Zambia win in a 2019 friendly. For Morocco in the AFCONs, they were 2-1-0 in the group stage. They lost 2-0 to South Africa in the knockout round. Since that time, they beat Angola 1-0 and drew Mauritania 0-0. Overall, they're 8-5-2 in their last 15 across all competitions, so not very many losses. They've scored in 10 of their last 12, but only one goal in their last 3 games. They've kept clean sheets in 8 of their last 14 as well. And the under has been the way to go in Morocco games of late, as the under 2.5 has gone 5-0. Meanwhile, for Zambia, they come in off of a 2-1 win over Malawi in a March friendly, but that is their only win across their last 7 games. They were 0-2-1 in the AFCONs. They then drew Zimbabwe, meanwhile, 2-2, and lost in PKs in a friendly as well. While they aren't winning a lot lately, they have scored in 13 of 15 games. But they've also conceded in 13 of 15 games. Obviously, that makes bets on both teams to score a popular bet in Zambia games, as that bet is 11-4 of late. Now, while their last 2 games were 2-1 and 2-2, the previous 4 were 1-0, 1-1, 1-1, and 1-1. So there have been a fair amount of unders in their games as well. For a best bet between Morocco and Zambia, Morocco games obviously have been much tighter. Zambian games have been a little bit more open. Zambia's only kept 1 clean sheet in their past 11 games, and that was home to Uganda back in October, and that's FIFA's 92nd ranked side. Morocco is at home. They're in better form. Zambia is rarely keeping clean sheets, but Morocco has not scored multiple goals in any of their past 5 games. But if you look at just home World Cup qualifiers for Morocco, betting on them to win has been a great bet over the years. They're 9-2-0 in their last 11. They have a long streak of wins going in home World Cup qualifying games. And in those 11 games, they've outscored their opponents 31-4 while keeping clean sheets in 8 of those games. For Zambia, Lamek Banda misses out because of a knee injury. Fashion Sakala reportedly had a fallout with the coach and should be missing out as well. So let's go for a best bet of Morocco to win and pair that with under 4 goals, expecting a lower scoring Moroccan win here. Morocco to win under 4 goals comes in at minus 115 as a single bet. If you wanted better odds and thought this game would be very low scoring, you could go Morocco to win in under 3 goals at plus 190. Let's look at one more game here happening on Friday. It's Ivory Coast and Gabon. Ivory Coast, heavy favorites here, playing at home. The AFCON winners, minus 450. The draw, plus 475. Gabon, 14-1. Over, minus 118. The under, minus 106. Both teams to score yes, plus 175. Both teams to score no, minus 250. Head-to-head between these teams, Gabon did actually win the last game between them in 2017. That is a while ago, and it is the only win they have against Ivory Coast in 7 all-time meetings. For Gabon, they've won both World Cup qualifying matches so far, but those came over Kenya, 107th ranked, and Burundi, 140th ranked, both by 2-1 scores back in November. Since that time, they lost 3-0 to Senegal and drew 1-1 with Congo. It's just 2 wins at 8 now for Gabon, no clean sheets as well, but the Panthers have scored in 5 of 6, only being shut out 3-0 against Senegal. They missed out on the AFCON after losing in their final 3 games during qualifiers. Now, they only have 2 road World Cup qualifying wins in 13 games, but one of those, like we mentioned, was against Ivory Coast back in 2017. For Ivory Coast, they Their AFCON got off to a shaky start. They had losses in 2 of 3 games earlier this year, and they needed PKs and extra time, but they won in games after that. But they did win the title on their home soil over Nigeria. And since that time, they've drawn 2-2 with Benin and beat Uruguay 2-1 in friendlies. Those are their only 2 losses. From in AFCON. Those 2 losses in AFCON being their only 2 across their last 15 games. They've scored multiple goals now in 3 straight and also in 4 of their last 5. They've scored at least a goal in 13 of 15. But Ivory Coast has given up a goal in 10 of 15 games as well. Now, they won their November World Cup qualifying matches 9-0 over Seychelles and 2-0 over Gambia. In their last 18 home World Cup qualifying games, they are 15-1-2. Now, after taking over mid-AFCON, new head coach Emir Faye is still undefeated. He'll be looking to keep that streak going here. Ivory Coast certainly the better side. They're at home. However, they've not been super tight defensively. Gabon certainly do have some firepower with Marseille's Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang and LAFC from MLS, Dennis Bouanga amongst their players they can call on to get some goals. In a fight at the top of the group right now, obviously Ivory Coast will be favored, but there's not a lot of value betting on that. If you want some good value, I could go for an unlikely outcome and go both teams to score at plus 175 for a bet between Ivory Coast and Gabon. Or if we want to look at something a little bit safer for Friday, we could pair these 2 games together, ask Morocco to win, and simply go over 1.5 goals between Ivory Coast and Gabon, and that would come in at minus 118 odds over at Bet365. There have been over 1.5 goals scored in 12 of 14 Ivory Coast games and over 1.5 goals in 7 straight Gabon games. So if you expect there to either be goals from both or maybe 2 from Ivory Coast and think that Morocco can get the win at home against Zambia, then this looks like a relatively safe parlay to bet on Friday. How do you see these games or other African qualifying games going on Friday or this weekend? Share those picks down there in the comments, give the video a like, and best of luck this weekend.